First, I want you to consider this, the precedent that we're setting today. No other regional governing body has ever been established that didn't have significant local representation on it. Imagine you're creating the Coastal Commission, and on that Coastal Commission, you're going to put representatives from Bakersfield, from Fresno, and from Redding. How do you think the people on the coast feel when the people who live there, whose livelihoods depend on the coast, whose economy is so tied with the decisions that are made on that coast feel when the people who made the decision live in Bakersfield, Fresno, and Redding? Because that's what we're doing here today. It is no different, and we have never set that precedent before, but that's exactly what this bill does. Second, I want you to reject the false dichotomy that the only option is status quo or this bill, because it's not. There is no urgency that we have to put this new governing structure into place tonight. We could include the Delta representatives at the table. I think Senator Lois Wolk would have liked to have been in the Water Conference Committee. We could include the people who can really bring all of the stakeholders in the region together to come up with a governing structure that makes sense. Having people from outside the region dictate what's going to happen in that region just doesn't make sense. You don't have to choose. No one is advocating for the status quo. No one says that we don't need a new governance structure to make some of the decisions for the Delta region. What people are rejecting is a governing structure that doesn't include a significant amount of representation from the people who live there. I carried from my first day in office, I carried AB 642, which was addressed at exactly the same issue, making sure that the people of the Delta get to participate in some meaningful way on the governing body that's going to make the decisions. And here's what this governing body is going to do. Not only are they going to decide whether to approve a peripheral canal, they're going to set fees for water users throughout the state. There's going to be no legislative oversight, limited input from the public, and no vote of the people on whether to have a canal or not. Just imagine a 100-lane freeway right through your district, and your constituents don't have a vote. That's what we're doing with this policy today. Third and finally, I also want you to not believe that this policy is somehow magically going to solve all the problems that are happening in the Delta. None of this policy does anything to guarantee that you have minimum flows through the Delta, which all the scientists agree are necessary for the health of the Delta. That's not what this is set up for. This is set up to find a way to export more water. Not an ounce of new water. Just realize how monumental the decision you're about to make is when you create this new governing structure.
Ms. Huber, 1 minute.
And you don't include the people in the Delta in the process. The amendments offered to SB 1 are in substance identical to AB 13, which some of you may recall was introduced last week. It's a really straightforward concept. These amendments say that we shall not construct a peripheral canal without a vote of this body. It does not preclude the construction of a peripheral canal, but it does say that we, the legislature, will maintain that oversight and that we will actually vote before a peripheral canal is constructed. And there's 4 reasons why I think you should support this amendment. First, it's what the people want. Second, it ensures legislative oversight. Third, there's a piece in this amendment that also ensures that we're going to know exactly the cost of a peripheral canal before we vote on it. And fourth, this measure will truly protect the Delta. On the first point, on this is what the people of the state want, I want to share with you, and Mr. Speaker, if I may have permission to display postcards from my constituents.
Without objection.
Thank you. At my desk, I have nearly 2,000 postcards that I received from constituents in my district saying that they are against the peripheral canal. This is in addition to the thousands of emails and calls that I have received in my office that indicate that people want to see the legislature make difficult decisions and for us to actually vote and be accountable to our constituents for voting for a peripheral canal. Additionally, there's a news article that was passed out earlier by Assemblymember Buchanan citing a poll, and that poll indicated in August that 85% of those people polled, when asked a question directly about what this bill, SB 1, does, Delta governance and setting up a bunch of unelected bureaucrats to decide whether or not to construct a peripheral canal, 85% of the people polled said that they opposed this bill on the underlying policy. If we accept these amendments, we address that concern because we make sure that as a legislature we retain that right to either approve or disapprove of one of the largest and most expensive projects that can be constructed in California. On the second issue, that it ensures oversight, one of the biggest problems, there's many problems with this water package, but one of the biggest problems is that we are completely delegating our authority for having oversight of the peripheral canal in this package. You've got half of the people in this coalition saying that they support this package because it is a clear path to a conveyance. And then you have half of the people in this coalition saying they support this package because it doesn't explicitly authorize a peripheral canal. The coalition can't even agree on what this package does. This amendment clarifies that, and it says if there's going to be a peripheral canal constructed, we, the 80 elected members in this assembly, are going to have a vote on it so that you know that your voice will be heard through one of your elected representatives. Because as it stands now, if you delegate that authority to this unelected bureaucratic body, the Delta Stewardship Council, then all those folks in the Delta who currently have elected representatives that are making sure that their voice is heard in this process, all of them are going to be left out. The third one, the reason why you need to support this amendment is because you really will know the cost. In this very simple, straightforward amendment, and they're on your computer if you want to look at it, it's a short 3-4 paragraphs, it states that it will be a requirement prior to the vote for the peripheral canal that the Legislative Analyst Office will do a nonpartisan fiscal analysis of exactly how much it's going to cost. Before you pass on the buck on this project and allow some other council to decide, you need to know exactly how much it's going to cost your Southern California ratepayers.
Ms. Huber, 30 seconds.
Thank you. Finally, it'll truly protect the Delta because only through the voice of the legislature and only through making sure that we are not going to harm the Delta with the peripheral canal can we protect them. I want to thank, real briefly, since I won't get another opportunity to do this, Senator Lois Wolk and Assembly members Bill Berryhill and Wes Chesbrough, who authored AB 13, which won't be heard on this floor, which will be killed in this process. But know that voting on this amendment will fix the elephant in the room.
Thank you, Ms. Huber.